Hello, welcome to FilmFellas Big Debate, and we're going to be talking top 5 action movies. I'm here with myself with on his way to being inebriated Ed, and teetotal Rob, and I will be on my way to being inebriated as we chat over this. And so, well, fellas, say hello.
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 So to start off with, right, we've each got a list. So why don't we start off by talking through each other's lists, and I'll go last. I think Ed should go first.
I think you should explain the rules.
Oh yeah.
My list was different till you made the rules.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. Right? It was. What, because you had Mad Max Fury Road in?
Nobody has that in. Nobody has that.
I don't know.
Why would anybody want that?
Right. Okay. So here's the rules. Right. So the rules are that an action movie must be set on Earth but can have sci-fi elements in. So obviously that excludes Aliens, which is a great kind of action movie, but it is a sci-fi movie. It must be largely action oriented, so that probably excludes things like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is arguably a biopic. That's some great action scenes in it. Right, and so this is a rule so that we can basically just have a go at each other. If you haven't seen one of the movies in each other's list, then that disqualifies the movie. I think it's probably, and this one, I think it's probably highly unlikely that we've not seen some of the movies. Then you can't have no more than one film from a film series. So you can only have one Fast and Furious, one Mission Impossible, etc. And you can't put Fury Road above The Road Warrior. It's just, you can't do it. So.
Are we also mixing the war genre with action genre?
See,
we've got to mix some genres.
Yeah, I think you've got to. Yeah.
My original list was kind of just action, and then when you said about the sci-fi and stuff like that, I started to change it up a bit because my number one, I consider it to be a sci-fi movie, not an action movie.
But I would consider it, because I think I know what your number one is. And I think I will consider it an action movie with sci-fi elements.
Quite the opposite. It's a sci-fi movie with action elements.
Well, I mean, because ultimately it's a chase movie.
No, if you take the action out of it, the plot still works. If you take the sci-fi elements out of it, the plot don't work.
Okay, fair point. Well, but I would say that if it's set on Earth, it can have sci-fi elements of it. It that can still classify as an action movie. Otherwise, it gets a bit complicated, doesn't it? Because you can argue that some action movies have very, very subtle sci-fi elements to them, like futuristic elements, like Mission Impossible films, things that don't exist, and then do you then exclude Bond and Mission Impossible because they're spy movies? Are they not action movies? So let's just see where we go.
This might be a dangerous road.
Yeah. Well, people can stick us with spears in the comments. So, that's what the comment section's for. So let's start off with Ed's list.
Right. This is in no particular order.
Right.
And I think this will show the difference in our ages just by our list, right?
So you like Charlie Chaplin, you like Carol Lloyd.
That's right. Yeah. It's all the highbrow stuff. Yeah.
I think it also probably shows that Ed's got 2 girls as well.
Oh, I do.
Right, so this is Ed's list. Okay, so right. Ed, talk us through your list. There you go.
This is by no particular order at all. So I put Extraction at the top of this, mostly because I just watched it again recently, and Extraction 2, although the first one is better than the second in many ways. I really enjoyed it. Chris Hemsworth doing what he does best. It's a non-stop adrenaline film, this. And I think action-wise, great set pieces, amazing car chases. Yeah, it's
got a good long take in it. It's got a good long take, and he ends up with the knife fight bit.
Yeah. It's just that like constant car journey, and the camera keeps moving between the cars.
It's like that. It just feels to me though like it's very much one long PlayStation cutscene. But that's not saying it's a criticism. It's done very, very well. It's very heavily influenced by PlayStation games, though.
Yeah, it's a big computer game. But I just think for me, it's popcorn. You can just it's a big.
No, but there's a million popcorn movies. Extraction's not better than a million other ones. In fact, let's be honest here. we've all got a Chris Hemsworth man crush. The only reason we watched it is because he takes his shirt off and we go, yeah, probably would. I mean, you know, I'm a bloke and I probably would. That's how good looking he is.
Ed's got a different man crush. Ed's got a crush on Ryan Reynolds. So that's Ed's man crush.
Twice. Well, no, I mean, you know, Hemsworth is a beautiful man as well. But honestly, Extraction, I think, is a great action movie.
I agree. I really like it. I've got to be honest with you. I'm really surprised by your second one, Mission Impossible 3.
Do you know what? I enjoyed Mission Impossible 1. I think it was Brian De Palma. It was interesting. It was the thinking man's action film, right? He made Mission Impossible work. But Mission Impossible 3, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Billy Crudup, amazing. Like the whole thing. And the action sequences are great. And it just felt like the first Mission Impossible since number 1, where the storyline was really central to the plot.
Yeah.
And they haven't quite matched it ever since. I have not seen Dead Reckoning yet, but I reckon certainly.
See, I disagree. I mean, I think your daughters are hammering your internet, Ed, as well, because you're lagging a little bit. But it's fine. It works. It's like, but you know, teenagers. Hey,
I've been banished to the shed as well. So.
You're in the shed, in the doghouse.
Yeah.
With your posters of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, in the doghouse.
I'll de-blur my background so you can really see how. Somehow, how do I
Go
do
on,
that?
you can do it. You
Wait,
work it out.
Where is it? Do this for a living, for God's sake. Where is it?
Right.
No,
so
I
I'm going to say, because I think after 3, I think 3 is the point where they start getting really good. So I think I don't think you can underestimate the influence of J.J. Abrams on them, and you know, I'm glad that, you know, and it's got the great Tom Cruise running scene, you know, and things like that. But I actually think then Ghost Protocol gets better, then Rogue Nation gets better, and then Fallout is the best one. So I think if you're going to argue for a Mission Impossible film to go in there, I'd say Fallout. Rob will say, look at your background.
Look at your background.
I'm in Delaware. Yeah, so
that's brilliant, isn't it?
That's my shed.
Ed really is.
That's not even the whole thing. It's just part of the shed. So
brilliant, I love it. You know, you should just keep that background on. It's hilarious. I always think it's funny because every YouTuber, don't they? They always like take really good care about their background. You know, it's almost like their background has to kind of like support their geekiness in some way. So it's full of like toys and stuff like that. Ed's just full of like his daughter's rubbish.
Just my shed. We've got Christmas decorations up here. Tennis skirt. It's fine. All good.
I was like, right. So I'm saying I would put Fallout above it, but Rob would put Dead Reckoning.
I would, yeah, I would. So 3's good, 4's better, 5's better, 6 is better, 7's better. So you've lowballed it with Mission Impossible 3.
I've not seen Dead Reckoning, but I thought Fallout was pretty pants.
Did you? I thought Fallout was. I think Fallout was the best in the series. Right. So anyway, bringing on this because Rob and I have picked the same film in this series, but you've gone for The Last Crusade. How can you put Last Crusade above Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Well, I've got one very simple reason for that. It's Mr. Sean Connery.
Do you know what? I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I mean,
to be fair, it is a better movie, but it's only a better movie because it's a trilogy. So you have to. All the jokes only work because you know the character. So you know the scar on the chin and the whip and the hat and the origin star and it's all wonderful. It's all charming.
I think what it comes down to, and I'm totally with you on the comedy and the Connery aspect. I think it flipping wins that hands down. But I think if you think about the influence of the action scenes, and it's no doubt, I'm going to shoot my kind of load now and say. Raiders of the Lost Ark is my number 1. It's hands down my number 1 action movie. It's that, you know, there's a certain other action movie that he's timed to, but I do think Raiders wins it. Simply because, right, if you think about the action scenes in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the boulder, let's do an order, the boulder, the truck, the airplane fight scene, you know, with the propeller in the face, you know, it has got quite possibly 3 of the most iconic action scenes, certainly 2 if you think about the cultural impact of the boulder scene and the cultural impact of the truck chase, I think they're probably the two of the most influential movie action scenes ever.
Yeah, and also it introduced a bullwhip as a weapon of choice from a goodie. No other goodie uses it. The only other character you can think of, Catwoman, or there's a baddie in Welcome to the Jungle, and some baddies have it. But Indiana Jones introduced a bullwhip. No, talk about iconic weaponry.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move
I heard
on.
a great. I'm just going to interject here. I had a great story today. I was listening to Steven Spielberg being interviewed on Smartless.
Yeah.
And he tells this story about how that famous scene where Harrison Ford shoots the guy who's
the dysentery scene.
Yeah. And the whole reason for that is that he'd had some bad lamb the night before.
Yeah.
And it should have been a full day's filming. And he said, "You've got an hour." And they went, "Well, this is a 4.5 hour shot. I don't know how we're going to do it." And he said, "Well, can't I just shoot him?"
Yeah.
And that was it. That's how they got that shot.
And that, again, I missed that out of my kind of iconic thing. That whole thing is, and it's just got some great lines. Yeah. And listen, don't get me wrong, The Last Crusade has got some amazing lines, largely because during production, it had a bit of a difficult production, and Spielberg was a fan of Tom Stoppard and brought Tom Stoppard to do some on-set writing, and he wrote the whole thing about Dad, they used the doors, and Don't Call Me Junior, and it has some beautiful banter like No Ticket and stuff like that, and it has those great moments in it. But I actually think the most beautifully written scene in any Indiana Jones movie, and it's probably Rob's favorite scene actually, is on the boat with the mirror.
Yeah. And she where she lifts it, it's
he's there moaning. And she it's just and the action scenes. I mean, regardless of however Indy survives the submarine, it's iconic. Okay, so Ed's list moves then on to The Grey Man. So, and again, another Netflix. Well, I got to be honest with you, I really like The Grey Man. I know it got slated. I really like it.
I really like The Grey Man. I'm impressed that you've picked that. To be fair, it's not as iconic as everybody else's choices. Do you know what I mean? And in 10 years' time, people will have forgotten The Grey Man, but they'll never forget Raiders. But it is a good action film. But it is a little bit drone shot. Let's have another drone shot. Why haven't we for a bit? Why don't we have a drone shot?
I think it's a bit harsh. I think, for me, I think The Grey Man had what every good action movie should have, which is a good, strong character lead in both the baddie and the goodie. Yeah. And I think Chris Evans did a great job. Another man crush, did a great job as the sort of baddie, and Ryan, what's his name?
Gosling.
The unattractive one.
Like you don't know, Ed. Like you don't know. Like if you swing that camera around, it's got Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling.
He's already got a Ken poster up above that. He's folded the bit with Margot Robbie out. He's just got Ken there. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling. That's a sandwich I want to be in. So but he is a great. I never thought of him particularly as an action leading man. He always seemed too thoughtful and too much of a serious actor.
Yeah.
But I thought he
Do you know
embraced
what?
that.
I always, as well, apart from Bradley Cooper, I always felt Ryan Gosling could have been a pick to replace Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, that would have worked. Yeah, I think he's got the right tone to him.
Yeah, I think he is very much in the. There's a thing about how movie stars are just basically relaunch products. So essentially, Reese Witherspoon is a relaunch of Meg Ryan, and Meg Ryan's a relaunch of Doris Day, and it kind of what is it? George Clooney is just Cary Grant. Yeah, they are ultimately just relaunched to fulfill a certain segment, and I do think Gosling is very much the Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I can see that. He's definitely got that. I mean, he's certainly obviously in Blade Runner.
Yeah,
he very much played.
And then you put another recent one. You had Bullet Train in your list as well, which I enjoyed, but I don't think it's a patch on. I've got to be honest with you, I think it's a poor entry, Ed.
But honestly, in 5 years' time, they're gonna say, what was the name of that train movie with Brad Pitt in it? You
Yeah.
know,
Look, it's going to win me a pub quiz one day. Knowing that it's another pretty classic sort of one location action movie. It just good entertaining characters.
I would argue if you wanted to kind of put a one location action movie in, you'd go Die Hard or you'd go The Raid.
yeah.
Well, I know,
And in fact, actually, none of us have got
the
The Raid in our list, which will probably get us some stick. The Raid is probably regarded as a pretty damn iconic action movie.
That's true.
So,
but you put Die Hard in, I thought I'd go left field.
Yeah, but then you went and put Willow in. I mean, come on, what is going on there? Are you sure your daughters didn't grab this list and drop that in?
Did you get the right question sent to you?
I love Willow.
Is that what happened?
I love Willow. I always, it's just one of those movies.
Hey, listen, look, I love Daryl, data analyzing robot youth life form, but I don't go telling people about it.
Well, I think you do now. I think that's its failed.
To the old 12 people who watch this and get this far.
But it's yeah. Willow is
honestly,
just,
your top 5 lists read, what was the last 5 movies I watched with my daughters? Not name your top 5 action movies.
I mean, I think the problem is here is that we've read them as an accurate top 5. These were just a stream of consciousness as I was.
How long did it take you to cross off High School Musical?
And then you got The Matrix.
Not enough bloodshed, I'm afraid.
So Matrix
body count wasn't high enough in high school.
So you've got Matrix then. I've got to be honest, I'll commend you with Matrix. I think one of the things with The Matrix is, to Rob's point, annoyingly, of being remembered. I think a lot of people forget about what the impact was when The Matrix came out. The Matrix,
my favorite film.
The Matrix had a similar impact to when Terminator 2 came out.
The Matrix is so good. People bought DVD players to watch The Matrix on DVD. It launched the DVD. People stopped getting VHS because when the DVD came out, you could change angles and you could pause the movie and read upon and stuff like that. And it's absolutely the best action movie. And the only reason I changed it because you said we could include sci-fi movies, because I don't really think The Matrix is an action movie. I think it's a sci-fi movie. Because if you take out the kung fu and the gunfight, the story still works because it's a Jesus metaphor. And Jesus wasn't big on gunfights. If you read the Bible, there's a couple of good car chases in the Bible. And
he knocks over some tables pretty well.
Yeah, and he does. I mean, the sequel. I don't know if you've read the sequel. He takes on the Mexican drug cartel, but it doesn't really work. But The Matrix isn't really an action movie. It's just a movie with some awesome action sequences in. But it is my number 1.
So I'm gonna suggest that we strike your next entry, Ed, because I think we need to do a comic book movie, one of these going forward. And I think Deadpool gets struck.
All right.
Well, I purposefully didn't pick any comic book movies in the top ones, even though there are some awesome ones. I mean, Dark Knight is just an awesome film, but it ain't an action movie. So it's a superhero movie.
And then you've got Nobody, which I don't get me wrong, my dad loves Nobody. He really enjoyed it. Hey up, he's here.
Hey
Ben's here. I didn't think you were going to join. Do you know what? I sent you that message and I was like, I haven't seen Ben in ages. I hope he's all right. And I was like, I really miss Ben. And then all of a sudden he pops in.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. So we're just sticking Ben with Spears over his Ed with Spears over his list. Have you seen Ed's list?
No, I haven't. What's going on?
Let me share my screen. I've just taken one out for him because it got excluded. But I don't know whether you can see that. So he's got Extraction, Mission Impossible 3, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Can't believe he didn't put Raiders. Grey Man, Bullet Train, Willow, The Matrix. We just got to Nobody. Him and Rob are about to get a little bit fighty with each other over number 9 because Rob's got a Bond movie in his. And then God knows what Ed was thinking about his number 10. I totally get where your number 11 and I kind of get where your number 12 is coming from. Number 13, I've got in my list. Number 14, I've got in my list.
So if you've got it, it's all right.
Yeah, of course it is. It's like
I see
it's
how,
the
I
Brian
see how
Clough
this
thing,
is.
isn't it? So,
It's a good job I'm not allowed to swear. That's all I'm going to say.
Ben, what would you have in your? If somebody nailed you to the floor now and said, "Right, if you want these nails pulled out," I don't know where this metaphor's come from. I think I might have had too many.
Billions halfway down his first beer, Ben.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've only had half a glass. What action movies would you go for? I'm
What have you put on there? So
now.
I'm just thinking, why have we not put Heat down? Anyone put Heat down?
Oh, yeah.
Is that an action movie, though?
Is it?
It's a thriller.
Yeah, it's more of a drama.
Thriller.
Yeah. Is it a heist movie, though?
I mean, it has got one of the best action sequences ever.
It does, yeah.
On screen, but
again, you can take the action sequence out and the movie still works.
and that's why Willow's in there. So, come on.
Right,
yeah,
I mean, here's Ben's list. I'm just typing up Ben's list now. So you'd say Heat. Go on, off your cuff. What else would you have in there?
What would I have in there? Old Boy, maybe.
Ooh,
Yeah, solid. Yeah.
it's got a great. I mean, it's got probably one of the most best fight scenes in any movie. Really, it's got a great fight scene. Go on, what else? Give us 5. Give us 5 to chew the fowl.
Well, Die Hard's always, isn't it? Is the ultimate action movie.
What's that one? Sorry,
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's in my list.
Definitely.
Go on,
I would
4.
go Gladiator.
Ooh.
It's not an action movie, is it? It's a swords and sandals movie.
It's a historical epic.
Yeah.
But I get, I guess it is. Yeah, I mean, let's argue the point. Go on, and then
Just because it's young Russell Crowe, that's what it is.
Oh, is this the same as your Ryan Reynolds thing?
Yeah, but we all share that. So come on. Have you seen?
Is that what we do? Do we?
Recently? Yeah, come on, boys.
Go on then. One more, Ben. What would you have before we argue? Before we go back to taking the mick out of Ed.
I'm going to keep it, I guess, like early, sort of. What is it, like mid tens? The Equalizer, maybe.
What? Oh,
Interesting.
Mm.
You got to love a bit of Denzel.
I love a bit of Denzel, but I'm not sure I put right. Anyway, Ed, let's get back to you. So we got to Nobody. Why have you put Nobody in?
It's great. It's like the most unexpected action movie I've watched. Like this, Bob Odenkirk for starters playing this bizarre character, and I just didn't expect it. I was expecting sort of a more like an Equalizer kind of thing, but without the bite. And then Ben had said it was really good, so I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a go."
I got a bit. I do really like the bus scene. The bus scene.
The bus scene is amazing. Yeah, and it just
scene.
it's much more violent than I expected.
Oh, we're losing you, Ed. I think the girls are on Candy Crush again.
Oh,
you're back. All right, Rob. He put Skyfall as his number 9. We'll just wait for his buffering stream to catch up. You've put Casino Royale.
Yeah, Casino Royale is a much better movie. Right, firstly, you've got the parkour chase. You got 10 minutes of everything there is to know about the new Bond, and he doesn't say a word. Skyfall is a better made film. It's better directed. It's got a better story. Everything about it is better, but it's not a better action film. And this is an action film thing. So if you'd have said top 5 movies, then yeah, but top 5 action movies, Skyfall's not as good.
Did you ever watch Gangs of London? Have you seen Gangs of London?
No, I've not seen it.
So
only the clips you've seen.
Yeah. So I do wonder whether Gareth Evans, who directed The Raid, was up for directing Skyfall at some point, because essentially there's an episode in, I think it's episode 5 of Gangs of London, which is basically a recreation of the end of Skyfall, but just done so much better and more violent, and it's ridiculously excessive violence-wise. And I like Skyfall, but I just think I'm with Rob on this. If you're going to pick a Bond movie to put in there, I think Casino Royale. But then I kind of think, well, it owes a huge debt to the Bourne movies. Why would you not put a Bourne movie above it?
Oh, because it is a better movie. It's an action movie. What you've got, first, it's a soft reboot. Is Casino Royale. It introduces Daniel Craig as the Bond. The Parker chase is unrivaled. It's the best action sequence in the entire franchise. The airport scene is very good. The last bit in the Venice isn't as exciting. It's a bit of a letdown, but only because the other two are so good.
Yeah.
But in terms of taking a franchise that was kind of on its knees and taking it to the best it's ever been, it's Casino Royale. And everybody said Daniel Craig wouldn't do it, and absolutely everybody was wrong.
I'm just trying to think about what are the action scenes in Skyfall then, Ed?
Well, other than the end scene, there's some. It's a chase movie.
Yeah.
What happens at the start again? I can't.
There's the scene in the government buildings when
oh yeah, I do like the courtroom scene.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, the end sequence is amazing. The start. What happens at the start?
He's on a train. He goes on the bike over the rooftop.
That's great. Yeah, in Morocco.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, but
that's amazing.
That bike sequence isn't half as good as the Parker chase sequence. It's not as exciting. And as I say, you know everything there is to know about the new Bond. He's ruthless. He's resourceful. He's mission orientated. If he'd have stopped to pull a girl at the end of that sequence, I'd have fainted.
But then
absolutely everything.
I would then say that out of like Bourne, Bond, and Mission Impossible, you'd put a Mission Impossible ahead of all of them. For an action movie, I'd put Fallout above all of them.
I just think Fallout's contrived.
Do you?
It just didn't grab me at all.
Ben's quietly smiling away. What are you thinking, Ben?
No, nothing. It's just like, it's just, you're taller than Cruise, I guess. You just sort of like got a little fetish. I don't know. You can't look him in the eye, though, mate. Don't look him in the eye.
All right, well, let's come back to Bond then. And Ed, you've got Hitman's Bodyguard. I mean, come on. Have your daughters been messing with this list?
It is a classic action movie. I think we just need to qualify action movie. Action movie is just great set pieces. It's just silliness all the way through. Why not?
I've got to say,
it's a comedy with action sequences. Ryan Reynolds is the best person in the world to play Ryan Reynolds, and Samuel L. Jackson is the finest actor who's ever played Samuel L. Jackson. So what they've done is they've put those two in the same movie, and then they repeated it with Red Notice when they put who's the best person to play Dwayne The Rock.
One of the rules I was going to put in was it must have some top quality boobs in it, just so that I could manipulate the list so that Lethal Weapon 2 came first.
I mean, we're all
Desperado. Desperado is an action movie with the best boobs.
Or what is it? Roadhouse.
Desperado.
Yeah,
I put Roadhouse in. So I just don't get where you're coming from with Hitman's Body, but I do get where you're coming from with your next one, Commando.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's funny, because I remember watching that when I was young and thinking it was the coolest thing ever. Ed, you're breaking up, man.
Commando's in my list, and I'll tell you why. Because it's the thinnest and thinnest plot. It's just give Arnie a gun. We don't need anything else. We just need Arnie with a gun. It starts off with the greatest 80s suiting up, getting ready to fight montage. 30 seconds of loading a gun. It's sheer, and then it's machine gun porn, isn't it? Say it like it is. It's brilliant.
So
it's absolutely the best movie.
I was deciding. I put Commando in, and then I was thought, no, do you know what it is? It's Predator. If you're going to put an Arnie, if you're going to put something in from there, I think Predator.
I thought Sci-Fi wasn't allowed though, mate.
Oh no, but it's like, this is
as far as like a pure action movie, Commando every time.
You've stumped yourself on that.
Unadulterated action.
I don't know if this is a true story. I've heard that this is a true story. It's my favourite story about Predator, my favourite Arnie story, which is that Arnie's, they're all on set, and what time do you get here? I get here at 6. What have you been doing? I've been at the gym. So they all start going to the gym earlier and earlier. And then the wardrobe department talking to Jesse the Body Ventura, and they say, "Do you know that your biceps are bigger than Arnie's? He's bigger than you all over. He's proportionally better, but your arms are bigger." And he was right happy, and he goes to see Arnie, and he says, "Arnie, my arms are bigger than yours." And Arnie says, "No, they're not. I am Arnie. I am Mr. Universe." And he says, "I'll bet you." And they got into it, and they bet a case of champagne as to who's got the biggest biceps. So then they go and they measure, and Arnie's arms are a lot bigger than Jesse the Body Ventura's, and he's very angry now. He's Jesse the Body Ventura, and he goes to the wardrobe department and says, "You told me my arms were bigger." And they said, "Yeah, because Arnie promised us half a case of champagne if we told you that."
I really hope that's true.
I
watched that documentary on him recently. It's really interesting.
the Netflix documentary on Arnie is brilliant, isn't it? It's really good. So
much better than I expected.
I just think with Commando, if you're gonna, because I took Commando out because I put Rambo First Blood Part 2 in. And
it's not cheesy enough, is it? How cheesy is Commando? It's just
but the end of Commando, with where he attacks the mansion, I just think jumps the shark for me. Whereas Rambo,
if you said to anybody a quote from Commando, everybody would name a quote from Commando. You say name as a quote from Rambo Part 2, nobody knows that. But let off some steam.
But that's not the thing, is it? This is about the best action movie, and I think Rambo's got better.
Why is the best action movie? It's more than just the action. It's the everything about it. It's the let's jump out of a plane, go to a gun shop, nick a load of guns, and go off on one. That's all you need.
Ed continues his Arnie loving on the next one, which is True Lies. I've got a guilty pleasure with True Lies. I really like True Lies. It's got some of the daftest scenes in it, but it is really good.
While I've been talking to you, I've been thinking actually a film that I loved when I was a kid was Toy Soldiers, and that was a great action movie. I don't know if you ever
saw that. Is that the one with Will Wheaton in?
It is, yeah. It is,
yeah.
Sure,
that memory.
The school gets taken over by terrorists.
Lou Gossett Jr. is in it.
Right.
Love that movie. True Lies. I mean, I don't need to go much further than Jamie Lee Curtis dancing around, do I?
Well, it's got the best baddie death ever. The main baddie died in True Lies better than any other baddie death.
That's true. Yeah. On the end of the missile.
Yeah.
Better than that. Cheesier, worse.
Well, yeah, but that face, you can't beat Alan Rickman.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing of Alan Rickman and him not knowing that they were going to drop him, and that's how he's got that reaction. Is just brilliant, isn't it? And it is. It's a I think you're right, Ben. I think Hans Gruber's death's better. The thing I can't forgive True Lies for is the stupid machine gun scene.
Which one?
The one where she drops the machine gun. It's got all those guys are running.
Oh yeah.
Rolling down.
You know what I don't like about True Lies is they're in the hotel and Jamie Lee Curtis is doing the lap dancing thing, and then it's like the movie is forgotten it's an action movie, and then the baddies just burst in, and there's no way that works in terms of a plot. It's just right, we need to get on with it now, so we'll just have them kidnapped. Yeah. But there's no way the baddies know
on that. I think you've missed the point of that entire sequence, if that's what you were thinking about.
Well, there's no Ryan Reynolds in it, is there? So you don't need to watch it that well.
Isn't it?
Ben, we were saying about Ed. What is Ed looking at behind his on his wall thing? And he's like, he's clearly got a Ken poster from the new Barbie film up there.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, you do love a bit of Gosling. Was Drive not on your list?
Oh
no, it wasn't. That would have been a great shout. Yeah.
Yeah, Drive. Okay, we'll go back.
If any of the Ryans are watching, I'm sorry.
So then you've got Leon, and I'm supporting your hands down here because Leon's one of my favorite movies ever. And
absolutely. I mean, I don't. Do I really need to justify?
Again, I would argue. Rob's probably argued this is Leon an action movie?
It's not an action movie, is it? Not an action movie.
What is it then? It's not a love story, is it, you perv?
No, it's about a father and a daughter. It's a coming of age sort of thing.
But he's an assassin and there's loads of action in it.
I mean, isn't Bond a coming of age film based on that?
Yeah.
Bond, the whole
I'm with you, Ed. And also,
thing
he's got
there,
one of the
that was
finest
like-
Gary Oldman performances.
Yeah, Gary Oldman's
Oh,
awesome.
definitely. Yeah. Well, you can't. Yeah.
if you want to go down that recently.
Sorry, Ed, say again.
Oh, did you not get any of that? I said, is Bond technically not a coming of age movie?
No, we got that, babe. We
All right.
have to-
We just
Oh,
ignored
just-
it for the
we just
daftness
ignored
of
it.
All right,
Just for the
fine.
comedy
Well,
value. And then Ed, when you put this in, and I'm glad, I'm not sure we saw it. When I saw that you put Mad Max 2 in, I wanted to jump over into a train and come over and give you a big hug, because I absolutely adore Mad Max 2. It's like one of the films that I could just watch over and over again, just for the insanity of that last 20 minutes.
yeah. And it was, again, another film I remember watching when I was young and being completely blown away by the sequences of it.
Mm.
It's just pure popcorn.
I also think it shows.
It's not as dark as one as well.
No,
so.
but I also think it shows what a great movie star Mel Gibson is.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, and I think he's kind of almost looks a bit like Ben at the minute. You look like you've shed a few pounds, Bennett.
It's the angle.
It's the
angle.
He's got that. He's got that.
Angle.
He's got that Mel Gibson Mad Max 2 filter on. where I've put my Sean Ryder posts. I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here filter on. So okay, right, and then we come to The Rock. So you love The Rock, don't you, Rob?
I do. I took The Rock off because when you said we could do sci-fi and put other ones in, The Rock is absolutely a brilliant film. It's I know it's a fan theory that he's Bond and it's all work, and it's Sean Connery's best film for many years. It's
100%.
called at its finest, and Sean Connery nails this role. I can't fault it. It's a wonderful film.
I actually also think, I would argue, probably better than Bad Boys. I think it's Michael Bay's best movie.
Yeah, I think it's Michael Bay's best movie.
If Michael Bay
Definitely.
could keep making versions of The Rock, we'd all be happy. With Michael Bay.
And it's got that shot of the missile on the Nicolas Cage with the flares, and it's got some great shots in it.
That opening car sequence where they're chasing through the streets of San Francisco, which is reminiscent of Bullet. Amazing. I mean, it's still amazing.
Yeah. Okay, Ben, is it a Bond movie?
Is it a Bond movie?
Yeah.
It's like think of it as like a multiverse. Think of it as at the end of Goldfinger when they rescue Bond. Instead of the FBI rescuing him, they lock him up. This is Bond locked up in a multiverse.
No, what are you talking about? That's like just bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, no, totally not. No,
That's
like
bored
no.
fan fiction.
Whose theory is that? That's absolutely madness.
It's the internet's theory. But yeah, I can see why, but it's not, is it? But I can see why. And then recently, so you put Everything Everywhere in, which inspired me actually to put Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in my list.
Oh,
Yeah. See, I'm going to admit something here. I fell asleep 3 times. Everything Everywhere.
I'm gonna have to confess I haven't seen it.
Have
I
you not?
haven't seen it yet. No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
great.
so that means it's excluded
Cut out.
under the rules. We lose it, Ed. We're losing.
What's
you,
that?
why are we excluding it? Why are we excluding it?
Because if you've got a film on your list that one of the other film fellas hasn't seen, it gets excluded.
Who hasn't seen it?
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen
Oh. Well, what are you doing on this call, Rob? Just go and watch it.
it. Yeah, I'll go now and watch it.
Every award last year.
How many times in the multiverse of that movie does Ryan Reynolds pop in?
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah.
How many times in the
in my
multiverse of that
version.
movie have you watched it, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Right. So is Rob's long list.
Right.
So here you go, Ed. Feel free to have a go at Rob on this. So he's got a couple of yours. So let's just kind of color code the one. So you had The Matrix as well, did you?
Yeah.
You had Commando. Did you have Die Hard?
No.
So you've
Too
got
obvious
you've
for
gone
me.
Skyfall,
Yeah.
and you know you don't. Yeah, right. So Rob, so Die Hard. I mean, you don't really need to say much about Die Hard, do I mean? It's
Well,
just
what can you say that hadn't been said already?
Yeah.
You know, it's iconic. It launched Bruce. It launched the one man army against a bunch of terrorists subgenre.
Not terrorists.
Awesome.
Not terrorists.
They're not terrorists. No. They're
robbers, bank robbers. So can I ask you a question though? Because so we've discussed Casino Royale already. John Wick 2. I've got to be honest with you. I can't see why you'd put John Wick 2 above the first John Wick.
Because I think John Wick 2, firstly, is a better origin story than John Wick. If you can not watch John Wick and still understand everything about the character, and
I think that's the case for all the John Wicks.
Not necessarily. But I also like when he goes. I like movies where they show him getting tooled up, and he goes and he does the planning of the hit. So I like that, and he gets the.
So you like every porno movie ever?
Well, yeah, but I'll tell you my favourite John Wick 2 fact is when he goes to get suited up and he's talking to the tailor. The actor that's playing the tailor, is the actual tailor for the movie. So the guy that's dressing John Wick is the guy that's dressing John Wick. I think that's awesome. And then
I'm not that impressed. I just don't like. I've got to be honest with you. When I saw John Wick, and maybe it was the night. I love the nightclub scene, the nightclub fight scene. I think is great. I just got to be honest with you. I watched John Wick 2 and 3. They've just got worse to me. I really enjoyed 4. I thought 4 was excellent. And I'm agreeing with Commode on this. After John Wick 1, John Wick 4 is the best one. I thought John Wick. I could not remember. I could not tell you a scene in John Wick 2 or 3, and I can't even remember which one of the movies, apart from the fourth one, has the dogs in.
It's the third one.
Is that the third one? Yeah. So
it's got Halle Berry in it, isn't it?
Yeah. So, if I was going to argue, and I would probably side with Ed on it, that I think Extraction is a better movie than all of them.
I agree.
Controversially.
No. It's got everything, John Wick. He reloads a gun with his knees. I mean, what more action do you want?
Have you got like a knee fetish?
Hemsworth does something similar with.
Oh, Hemsworth would, wouldn't he? Oh, isn't he amazing?
Hemsworth just looks at the gun and it reloads.
Absolutely. Unlike my gun. But...
and then you've gone Red of the Lost Ark, which we've gone. You've got Con Air in there. Why have you put Con Air over the Rock? Because they kind of came out around about the same time, didn't they? Did Rock and Con Air?
Yeah. I think we're part of Nicolas Cage's action trilogy, isn't it? Along with Face Off.
Right.
I like Con Air. I think I once remember telling my dad to go see it, and he came out of the cinema and swore at me for wasting his time. And he didn't get it, didn't me, Dad? Because it absolutely revels in its own stupidity, and it absolutely just loves how ridiculous it is. And my dad was pointing out all these plot holes to me in his fine Yorkshire accent, and I was like, "No, you're missing the point. You know, anything with a movie with Cyrus the Virus, characters called Cyrus the Virus, you've got to love." So no, it is an awesome film.
If it wasn't for Steve Buscemi, that whole film would have just
I agree.
By the way, inside. I mean, he was the absolute winner in that.
And interesting that none of us have put Face Off in.
Yeah,
because
how can you compare Face Off with Willow? I mean, obviously Willow beat it, didn't it?
And then you've gone. All right, so I think I've got this in this.
There's only so many slow-mo pigeons you can watch. That's
yeah. You've put Speed in as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good shout. Yeah,
I know that we have our 30-year debate.
Yeah,
but it's highly improbable and a bit ridiculous. And the bus jump is the jump the shark moment. But everything else about that movie is awesome.
Is there a bomb on the bus, Ben?
Say again, mate.
Is there a bomb on the bus?
No, the bomb. Does the bomb go off if it goes below 50? Or is it all a bluff?
No, the bomb goes off. It goes off at the end, doesn't it?
No, it hits a plane. I'm not saying there's no bomb, but when he says it'll go off if it goes under 50, it won't. He's bluffing. The whole way through, he bluffs it.
Interesting.
the movie again. Watch the movie again.
With that in mind.
With that in mind, that it
Okay.
absolutely makes the movie even better.
Okay,
The
and
old
then
hops,
you've
giving it
got
the old hops bluff.
then you've got Terminator 2, which I think is just great. And then I'm really surprised you've put this in, and I wouldn't even have this in my top 1,000 movies. Independence Day.
Right.
Yeah,
well, name a more awesome popcorn movie than Independence Day. It's got
Raiders of the Lost
Pick one.
Ark.
Oh
one.
no!
Yeah.
It's cinema a spectacle, isn't it? Let's just blow up landmarks. How can you not enjoy Independence Day?
Everything about it is just horrible. It's just a bad movie. And the bit at the end, honestly, I even audibly shouted out in the cinema when I saw it, a very, an expletive beginning with F and ending in
We went to the
off.
cinema to see it together, you
I
and
think
me.
I think I saw it before I saw it with you. But when the president gets in the plane and flies it and leads the attack, I was like, get stuffed.
That's
Oh,
very
come on,
that's
it's
very
awesome.
leaderly though, isn't it? It's very like true of any politician would do that for their country, I think.
I mean, I could just see Boris Johnson jumping in a jet. Him and Rishi.
I don't even know where the controls are.
Reporting back to base. I think I've blown up the bloody UFO.
Bloody alien.
Right, okay, right. Let's get on to the list. The only list that really matters, which is mine. Right, so I put some of these. So we discussed Mad Max, Road Warrior, Die Hard. I put Point Break in.
Oh, it's awfully Point Break. It's just
It's not.
Break.
Well, it's a great movie.
That's a good shout. I love Point Break.
It's a great movie.
I'm not sure I call it an
Johnny
Utah,
movie.
man. Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah.
Why did he go without a mask on? He goes back to them. They all know he's an undercover cop. It doesn't make any sense.
He's an FBI agent.
FBI agent.
I think, like, it's got
the best bits where he just does his gun in the air.
Yeah. And I always, the pop culture impact of that on the Cornetto trilogy and the things like that as well. But I also think it's got one of the best foot chases. The foot chase is really, really good. And then after that,
hang on. Let's just wind back on foot chases. Best foot chase ever is Narc.
Knock. Yes.
Yeah.
Royale best foot chase.
What's the foot chase in what? Narc?
Narc, yeah. Start a Narc. Fuck it.
Narc is in NARC.
And
did you just swear, Benjamin?
Yeah, I did, yeah. It's because it's gnarly.
It's a children's TV show, this, Ben.
Oh, is it? I didn't realise it was like, pretty watershed.
Yeah, it's like, you can't.
You can bleep me out.
If your mum sees this, she's gonna be very disappointed in you, Benjamin.
She won't. She'll be like screaming from the rafters.
Disappointed.
I thought Narc. What film is that? I've got.
Ray Liotta, Jason Patrick.
Yeah, Ray Liotta.
Oh, right, okay, right.
Amazing.
Is it? I'm gonna have to go dig it out then. I can't.
It's
really
a great
remember
film,
it.
actually.
Is
but
it?
that foot chase is relentless. It's actually more like the car chase in Extraction.
Right.
It's that kind of feel. It's just kind of
a
like
precursor 30 years before Extraction.
Yeah, amazing.
And then I had to put this in, and Rob knows that this is one of my favorite action movies. I think just because of the influence that it's had especially on directors like Michael Bay and things like that, which is Hard Boiled.
Yeah, I remember you educated me on films with Hard Boiled. I very nearly put it in for mine, but I thought you would honour it, and it deserves your mention, not mine.
It's just insane.
Has it still got the highest? Has it got the highest death count of any movie?
I know, probably a John Wick movie's probably beating it by now, is it not, or something like that?
Back in the day, it was like.
It was just like I always remember the bit where he slides down the banister, and it had such an effect on how Hollywood shot action movies, that and The Killer. But it's probably not a top. I mean, it's one of those films, isn't it, where it's just relentlessly action, and it plays well in markets like China and India and things like that. But actually, it doesn't really work over here because there's not much of a story. So And then I put Leon. I put Rob Predator, but I put then something that none either of you two put. I put RoboCop.
Not really. Yeah, it's that's too sci-fi, isn't it? That's why I hesitated over the Matrix, but I think RoboCop is even more sci-fi.
How can RoboCop be even more sci-fi than the Matrix? That's
Well,
like
because he's about a robot who turns into half human, half
But
robot.
to Ben's point, Ben's
but
right. The Matrix is about a world of robots.
yeah, exactly. It's like AI. It's all those futurism sort of stuff, isn't it? It's like it's
Okay, well,
That's Ben's
one
mic drop
robot
moment.
versus a
That
world.
he's probably got you. He's had you there, Rob.
yeah, all right, fair enough.
Sorry, mate.
Me, or there will be trouble.
And then I put something in which I'm really surprised. Ed, I thought Ed might have put it. I put Saving Private Ryan in.
Yeah.
I didn't realize war movies were acceptable.
I mean, do we need to do a war movie one and stick it in there? It won't. Some problem is Saving Private Ryan won't scrape in my top 5 war movies.
Oof, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Heavy.
It'd be Apocalypse Now, which would be number 1, hands down, and then it'd be a mixture between The Thin Red Line, Platoon, and anything else. Saving Private. I just think Saving Private Ryan to me is just. I think it's overly sentimental. But it is a good. The action scenes in it are terrific.
1917. Should we put that one in there?
Yeah, 1917. I'll probably put that in. Oh yeah, and it should that be in here as well. Oh God, what a can of worms we've opened. And then I put Lethal Weapon 2.
Which surely Lethal Weapon 1 would be better.
Well, do you know? See, I think Lethal Weapon 2 is better.
Because you've seen boobs. Because you've seen boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got Patsy Kensitt's boobs in it.
That's why. That's all it is.
And
that's all it is.
Which don't fire bullets or anything, so it's nothing to do with it being an action movie.
No, but it does lead up to a really good gunfight. But the best part about it is Patsy Kensitt's boobs. I always wonder, because Liam Gallagher, is probably around about our age, and he would have probably watched that a lot on DVD or video before he became famous. And do you think he ever thought when he was lying in bed with Patsy Kensitt, thinking, I'm lying in bed with the woman from Lethal Weapon 2?
Without doubt. 100%.
Yeah, so jammy get. Anyway,
I think he said to her, do the accent, Patsy. Do the accent. You know I like the accent.
Oh yeah, what a terrible actress.
Ben's biting his lip now because he wants to do the action from the other guy.
And then I put Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is far better than Last Crusade. And then I put so I'm surprised nobody put this in. Nobody's put Jurassic Park.
Not an action movie, is it? It's a dinosaur movie.
Sci-fi.
It's an adventure film.
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll delete that from the list. And then I put Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
It's a martial arts movie.
I mean, you could say this of anything.
That's
Couldn't you?
going in the trailer.
The thing about action is that it's just cross genre.
Rob just saying things like that. Yeah. And I guess it's that thing, isn't it, Ben? Of do you discount genre movies?
Exactly.
So war movies and things like that have to come
also,
out.
the fight scene, the sword fighting scene with the green dragon, I think it's called. He's not a patch on Willow, so it doesn't count, does it?
Absolutely.
I mean, if we go like the thing is like if you're talking about just pure fighting movies or whatever, it's like you've got to go Fight Club. But is that an action movie? I don't know.
Social commentary in it, like
in it, and like Fight Club is like one of my top 5 all times. So
is it?
Yeah.
Really, because we're not allowed to talk about it.
Nice.
Look at that. Up there for thinking, down there for dancing. So right, okay. So let's at least get one agreement of one film that's going in the top 5 to build on. It's not Willow.
It's Willow.
Gotta be Willow. There is no other choice, is there?
Do you imagine that we should just put Willow as number 1 just to see the comment section?
I agree. I agree.
I'll tell you one thing. I do rate Willow for Joanne Whalley-Kilmer.
Oh, absolutely. And Val Kilmer. It's a great movie for Val as well.
Look at you with your man crushes. Well, did you progress from Val Kilmer to Ryan Reynolds? What age did it cross over? What age did it cross over?
Doesn't have to because he lives on in celluloid. So
Ah, right. I'm going to say that in the top 5 and probably in the top 2 is Die Hard.
Gotta be ultimate action movie, isn't it?
I only didn't put it in because it was so obvious.
What you're saying, number 1, Ben?
Yeah.
Best action movie.
Best action movie. It's the birth, not the birth of it, but it cements like what an action movie should be, doesn't it?
To be honest, every now and again, I do have a silent moment for the victims of the Nakatomi Plaza. You know, I've got a small fund that I contribute to. You know,
I think also, you know, if we, you know, I'll put that. It's look, there it is in the.
I mean, I'm going to go fully controversial here and say it's the best Christmas movie as well.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's not a Christmas movie.
It's totally a Christmas movie. How could it not be a Christmas movie?
I'm just going to step off. I'm going to step off for 1 minute. I need to go. All
right, no worries. Of course, it's a Christmas movie, Rob. Have you not watched our episode on Die Hard being the Christmas movie? Anyway, listen, that's in at number 1. Die Hard. I also think as well, you've almost got to celebrate it as well because it introduced the film world to Alan Rickman.
Yeah, first Hollywood action movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Rickman is just God. Basically, he's you know, and he has played. Well, he played an angel or something like that in Dogma, but he is just an absolute legend. So, Die Hard, right? Okay, so I'm going to fight for then that second
Commando. You're talking action movies. You've got to pick an Arnie film next.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I thought you were going to go Mad Max 2, mate.
Oh, that's coming next. I would put Mad Max 2 in. I hands down. I just think Mad Max. The thing about Mad Max 2 is a lot of people forget how influential Mad Max 2 was. It's like it's so massively influential. You know, they're literally you can watch Waterworld and there's like scenes.
Why would you want to watch Waterworld though? Yeah.
Well, you know what Ryan Reynolds is to Ed Kevin Costner. It's the gills. Love the gills and the web feet. It's like because we've all got web feet where I live. I put Mad Max 2. I love Mad Max. Where do you rank Mad Max? Did you not rate it, Rob?
No, it's. I'm not saying it's bad because it's not, but it's not in the top 5 ultimate action movies, is it? It's not iconic. You don't quote lines from it. You don't particularly. You don't pretend to be Mad Max when you're a kid.
Right, I will acquiesce on one thing for you then. I will add Commando into the list.
Cool.
At number 2.
Most action-packed Arnie movie.
If you will allow me to have Mad Max 2.
You can have Mad Max for the next 3 if you want, because you've got Commando and it wins. The top 2 are the best. That's it. Job done.
Right. Okay. So where does Raiders sit?
4 now, apparently.
Do you agree it's in the top 5?
Oh yeah, it's again massively influential. Everybody loves it. You can't criticize it. It's fantastic.
Where do you sit on? We've not even discussed if you've got a bit of a Mel Gibson sort of crush, Julian. Payback.
Oh, but so right. So
have we discussed that already?
No, we haven't. Great movie. Underrated movie. But not a patch on the Lee Marvin original.
I was going to say you're allowing remakes, because Point Blank is,
Point Blank is just awesome. It's just hands down better than the Gibson one. I would have actually put Point Blank in here, but I think what we might do is because none of us have put the Taken films in or things like that in. I do think what we'll do is the revenge movies.
Good call.
Yeah, I think we need to do a revenge movie. That would be
because
cool.
To be fair as well, most of the subplot of Willow is a revenge movie.
I was going to say.
Do you know what? We should try and get Willow into everything.
I'm going to do a Forgotten Great on Willow. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, yeah. So all of 27 people can watch it. But
we thought that about Wind, but...
no, yeah, Wind is...
2,000 people aren't wrong,
Wind is flying. Almost like the wind. So Ed, while you briefly stepped off to go and chastise your daughters for hammering your internet, we settled on Commando as number 2.
Right.
I then forced Rob that Mad Max 2 should come in, but I think it will probably get argued out. Raiders of the Lost Ark in there. The thing is, though, is I don't think that we can not have Terminator 2 in.
I think it falls too far into sci-fi.
Sci-fi. So should we just then remove anything that is any sci-fi elements out of the top 5 and keep it purely action?
I think so. This is an action discussion.
So if it's got any sci-fi,
any
sci-fi elements in, it's out there.
I mean, Mad Max 2 is sci-fi, so let's get rid of that.
Mad Max 2 is not sci-fi. Mad Max 2 is post-apocalyptic, I think.
Post-apocalyptic. Yeah, I agree with that. But then surely that's sort of in the realm of sci-fi, maybe even sort of fantasy there.
Genre. Is it genre?
All right,
okay,
into that, then Willow's out of this as well.
Willow will never be gone. Willow is always with us.
Do you know what, then? I'm going to take Mad Max 2 out. So the top 3 at the minute is Die Hard, Commando, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. But then is Raiders are, I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm in all of Raiders. So I guess Rob might argue for Casino Royale going in there. Speed. Ed might argue for the Grey Man as well.
I would argue the Grey Man is a really good example of they've taken from every great action movie and created a modern day action movie.
Would you put Leon above the Grey Man, or do you not think Leon's an action movie? Then where do you stand on Leon? Is Leon an action movie?
Me?
Yeah.
Leon's not an action movie, no.
Yeah, it's not, is it? No.
Okay. So we'll go with the 50-50 then. That if Ben and Rob are saying it's not an action movie, it's not an action movie. What did Ben have? Let's have a look at what Ben had in his top list as well. His top 5. You had Heat, Old Boy, Die Hard, Gladiator. So Gladiator. I would put as a sand and sandals, whatever. I feel
we've got to put a Bourne in. I'm really sorry. I know you probably argued this already, but I think we do have to put a Bourne in because they're fucking great.
Do you know what it is? The reason why I think a Bourne could go in, right, is because, and I think this is the reason why it goes in above Casino Royale, Rob, is if it wasn't for Bourne, Casino Royale wouldn't have been a shot.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But Casino Royale is a step up, and it's a Bond movie.
Yeah, I don't know, because I
think you'll struggle to name an action character as long-lasting as James Bond. And I challenge this to anybody.
Is it not technically a spy thriller, though?
What, Casino Royale or the genre?
Bond generally, it was written as a spy thriller, wasn't it? So
yeah, then as is Jason Bourne.
Well,
because I would say if out of the Bourne movies, it's probably Supremacy, isn't it? The second one is the better one.
Yes.
The first one was done by Doug Lyman. The second one was done by Greengrass. The second and third were done by Greengrass. But I think the Supremacy is better than the third.
Which is the one that he fights Desh in? That's an awesome
Supremacy.
That's the fight scene. That's the best fight scene of the lot. Put that one in.
Yeah, I think that because that's what heavily influenced the fight scenes in the Bourne thing. So number 4, then we're saying Bourne Supremacy. Which then leads us on to what goes in at number 5. So do you know what? I would argue Speed.
God, I love Speed. Honestly, go back and watch it with the renewed idea of it. Brilliant film.
It is like pretty much non-stop action, but again, is it better than The Rock?
I think you have to take a moment now to just look at your leading men here, don't you, and think, well, how many of these movies have got Keanu Reeves in? How many of them have got
one of them have got Ryan Reynolds in at the moment. Or Chris Hemsworth. I'm reading a thing here. Time Out magazine did the top 100 and police stories on it.
The Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I mean he's a pretty classic action.
Isn't that a martial arts movie though?
No, not police. Well, I
In fact,
guess it is, but
isn't Jackie Chan a genre in himself?
I mean, you could
They're
argue
kind
that you could argue, if you want to go down that route, you could argue that John Wick's a martial arts movie.
yeah, I would argue as well, out of those Jackie Chan movies, having spent a reckless summer watching virtually every Jackie Chan movie going, the one to pick is Project A.
Yeah.
I've seen them all. Armor of God, Project A, Police Story 1 and 2 and 3, and stuff like that. Police Story's got the scene that Michael Bay redid where they drive through the shanty town in Bad Boys 2.
They redid Tango and Cash as well in there. Start Tango and Cash is from Police Story.
Is it? Right. Okay. Oh, yes, it is. You're right. Yeah, it is with the truck. Yeah. Police Story is pretty damn influential.
Yeah.
That's a good shout.
I mean,
actually.
if you want to go down that route, there is an argument here on Time Out for Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Fucking
Oh,
love Seven
cool.
Samurai.
But I hate Seven Samurai. That was just thrown in.
That's
my...
pretty funny.
why?
Ben just goes, oh, I love Seven Samurai. It goes,
It's like it's what every wanky school
language, Timothy.
film
You're
school-
on your third whiskey, aren't you?
I finished it actually, but yeah, it's what every film student holds up as like the best movie ever, and it's
Well, that and Hidden Fortress, isn't it?
yeah.
They kind of pull
Yeah.
those up.
But Seven Samurai.
Nah, it's not exciting. It's not. It's not.
Great.
It might be classic and amazing and well made and blah blah blah, but you're not on the edge of your seat, are you? You're not going yeah all the way through
That
it.
was the actual reaction he was asking for, wasn't it? Kurosawa was the blah blah blah. I think that was like you've hit the nail on the head there as a.
I think
reaction.
his actual quote, if you read the interview, was one day the sword fight will be homaged in a fantasy movie on Disney with Val Kilmer. So
All right,
And we're back to Willow. So really, Willow's not in the top 5.
all right, right, okay. So we've got this is where we are on the top 4.
Just put it in.
Die
just
Hard
put it in.
Commando, Raiders, Born Supremacy. And then what did you say, Ben? What is it? It's Police Story.
I think Police Story is probably high up there.
Really?
I mean, as far as like influential,
Yeah, but did we all love it? I enjoyed it. I probably prefer Speed as
watched
an
it for
action
about
movie more.
20
I probably haven't seen Police Story since I was about 50.
yeah,
So
I'd probably put Speed above it. If you're going to put a cop movie, I'd probably put Speed. No, not much love for Speed. Are you saying Speed, Rob?
I do, yeah. It's awesome. Awesome movie. It's one of those movies where they call it an elevator pitch, don't they? Where it's sum it up in a couple of words. The bus can't slow down, and it's really relatable because it's on a bus, and everybody's been on a bus. And what if you can't get off? What if the bus can't slow down? It's a really good concept movie, and it's elevated because it's done really well. And it's a 3-parter as well. You've got your lift sequence, which is really good. You've got your bus, and then you've got your subway, which all 3 parts of it do really well. Dennis Hopper is awesome. And I think it very much launched Keanu Reeves as an action star.
Yeah.
and they also do a really good Father Ted with the milk float.
They do,
Yeah.
yeah, they do with the float.
Yeah.
And they do a Simpsons episode as well.
So this is the top 5. The only thing that bothers me now is Born Supremacy because I got to be honest with you, I much prefer the Grey Man.
Oh, really?
Oh,
No.
do you not into the Grey Man?
You know what? I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I watched it twice, and the second time I watched it, I was like, "This is kind of weak."
It's no Willow, is it? Say it like it is.
No,
it never
exactly.
will be.
I agree.
It's just full of standard tropes. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
What about
like-
Lethal Weapon or Lethal Weapon 2 then? I mean, I always think that Lethal Weapon is not Lethal Weapon, more so Lethal Weapon 2 is the blueprint by which every buddy cop action movie is based on. Because it mixes that action and comedy thing and it kind of like, you've got 24 hours and 48 hours and another 48 hours, which kind of did it before. But I actually think Lethal Weapon 2 had great action scenes. It's against its boobs in it, and but also then it became the blueprint by what other kind of cop buddy action movies
I agree.
were based on.
And all joking aside, we don't have a top 5 movies with boobs in, and it is a kind of an action movie trope. You've got explosions, car chases, and boobs, haven't you? Fist fights. So I do think we need to pay tribute to a action movie trope. And
Dragnet.
Of what?
Dragnet.
The Tom Hanks one.
Do it.
What's I always remember the thing about the this.
I think somebody needs to call him because I think he's having a stroke.
There's the thing about the bad guys. The thing that they're the thing is like people against. Oh, that's it. Pagans. It's like, what does pagan stand for? People against goodness and normalcy. And they're dancing around in like those flipping sheep flipping things.
Like goats.
And then it has the bit, the Virgin Connie Swale. It's like, oh yeah, I dropped Connie Swale off last night, and he goes, "You mean the Virgin Connie Swale?" And he's just this sort of Dragnet, flipping what a movie that is. Do you know what, Ed? I would do Dragnet as a forgotten great wheel. I think Dragnet needs reappraisal. I flipping love Dragnet. Right. This is the settled list then. Okay, and this is what we'll chuck down in the comment section and get lambasted for. In number 1, Die Hard. In number 2, Commando. In number 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. In number 4, Lethal Weapon 2. And in number 5, Speed.
And surely, as an honourable mention, Willow.
Yeah. Joint number 5. Joint number 5.
Willow. Let's just put it in. Let's just put it in, and the number 6, Willow for Ed. So yeah.
Right, boys.
No, that's it. See you later, Ben. Catch you later.
All right, boys. It's been fun. I'll talk to you all later on as well.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Ed and I will say goodbye since everybody's dropping off. Ed.
No professionalism anymore.
Yeah, so let's me and you do Dragnet. Let's do Dragnet this week. I love Dragnet.
I love that movie. I watched that so many times when I was a kid. It's got boobs, gun sequences, the lot. So
yeah, I'm with you. Let's do Dragnet next week. So thank you everybody for listening. If you've got this far, and you know what we're probably going to do next is top 5 sci-fi movies, or something like that as well. But in between that, Ed and I will be talking Dragnet. So thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.